press buttons on.
All right. There it is. I see the we're live button.
Yay.
Yay.
Just hoping that everything holds on now.
Where's everyone? I guess I'll be asking the most awkward questions.
Hey, Ricky Lee.
We're glad you're here.
Hello, hello. I was going to say, it's nothing like a bunch of awkward people on the live stream.
Right.
It's just, that's spot on.
I told myself before I got on I was going to be intentional and professional and not think everything's a joke. We'll see how that goes.
See how long that lasts.
That's asking a lot.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Mhm.
That's fair. All right. You want to just jump right in, or you want to wait a few minutes?
We could wait a minute. We're gonna still try to get off at 9:00 either way. So
Okay.
Yep.
We'll see if we can
That
get a
sounds
few
good.
more eyeballs on here, and then we'll introduce you and we'll start chatting.
Sounds good. Sounds
Great.
good to me.
Hi, Silver Creek Aquatics.
hello. Crap, I'm already.
Yep.
I'm already.
Too late.
Just can't resist.
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
I was going to tell you guys. So, like the big thing out there, they're like, oh, all these dad jokes and stuff like that. They're not dad jokes in my house. They're mom jokes. It's
Oh.
me. Yeah. My husband does make the dad jokes too, but the kids actually find his funny. They don't find mine funny. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, he should get an award for that.
I know, like breaking that ceiling,
Mhm. Hi, Marcy.
Hello, mate. Hello, mate.
I like that we used the 8.
Yeah, I learned something new today.
I like it.
I like the little alien face. That's nice.
Alabama, South Texas. We got lots to
Mm.
do with.
Hey, Tracy.
Hi, Tracy. Hi, Tony. Down with the dad jokes. Good. I'm a little concerned about the two of these guys together. I know both of their sense of humors and awkwardness, and it could be a long night.
Should be fine. Should be fine.
We'll see how it goes. Another Texas here. Good. We're not taking metformin anymore. That's exciting.
Oh, good. That's great.
Awesome.
Very exciting.
All kinds of good things.
I was checking what time it is in Australia because it seems that a lot of people from Australia watch my channel or our channel here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
come on, Australia. Where you at?
It's 10 in the morning.
It's time for an early morning break.
They
right?
shouldn't be busy. Like, come on, man. Just come on in.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see.
Yeah, Ricky, a lot of doctors are not trained in any of that stuff.
Yep.
How to reverse type 2 diabetes? Stop eating carbs and sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dial it down as far as you possibly can.
We're
I
not
work for my
doctors.
mom.
This is not medical advice. Yada yada
All
yada.
my advice comes to you as an uninformed citizen.
Yep. So we are here to share our stories. We are not here giving you medical advice. But that being said,
I have lots of opinions.
yeah. Yeah, and I think you've done some videos specifically related to that, right? I mean,
Yes.
all of your videos
Yes.
kind of are specifically related to that.
Mhm.
Hi, Mindy. First time watcher from Tampa. That's
Ooh,
exciting.
hello.
Hello.
Oh, Aaron, I was going to tell you earlier I watched your video about the Verta Health, and I was going to say, I like David Feldman, the way he says that we're citizen scientists.
Yes.
Because we're all experiments, like what works for me isn't always going to work for anyone else, but there's we all fall under a certain umbrella.
Yeah,
So.
we need to eat and we need to breathe and we need to defecate.
Yeah.
And eventually die, I guess.
Yeah.
This is taking a turn. I shouldn't be allowed to talk.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. So this is our friend Nellie. She's joining us tonight. Her channel is Nellie Needs Meat. And
Hello.
she does a lot of keto and carnivore content. I need to actually look at the camera, not randomly over here. But she does a lot of keto and carnivore content, lots of recipes, lots of really good thoughts about just different things and thought processes as you're kind of going through this way of life. And so we're really excited to chat with you tonight and share your story too. I mean, people have heard our story, but it's nice to get some fresh voices on here sometimes. So we are going to hear from her. We're also going to look at some of the comments and try and go through some of that too. So let's see where this goes. But you and I talked earlier. So if you want to share a little bit, maybe why you got started on keto, carnivore, and what kind of started that process.
Okay.
Why are you obsessed with food?
Been obsessed with food for a long time, man. So my story is a little bit different from a lot of people's out there. There's some similarities in that I tried every diet to lose weight. Across the board, I'm kind of embarrassed about some of the diets I tried, but it is what it is. Yeah. The most success I ever had was on Weight Watchers. I lost 50 pounds in the course of like a year. And then I struggled for the next 6 years trying to keep that weight off. So, but it was like 6 years. Every time I tried to be strict Weight Watchers, I was starving. And then you try to like make these little adjustments. It's like, everyone's like, oh, well, fill up on veggies or fill up on fruit because those are the free foods. It didn't work for me, man. I was hungry all the time. So I tried calorie counting, which is basically the same thing as Weight Watchers. You're still tracking all your food. The one good thing I can say about Weight Watchers is that it helped me to learn portion control, which I had a hard time with. So that helped.
Yeah, that is a plus.
Yeah. So it was July of 2019. My mom came to me and asked me if I could help her get her salt under control. Just know my mom, she lives with us. She was 65, I think, at the time. So anyway, she wanted to get her salt intake under control. She's got a slew of health problems, and she knows she shouldn't eat a lot of salt, which we've kind of learned salt isn't really the problem. It was the insulin. But back then we didn't know any better. So I said, well, as long as we're getting your salt under control, why don't we get your sugar under control too? Because she'd been like a type 2 diabetic for a diagnosed type 2 diabetic for at least 10 years. Okay. So, it could have been longer before that. We don't know. But she was like, at first she's like, no. I don't want to get my sugar under control because she knew what it meant. But then she's like, all right, fine. So I did what anyone. Yeah. No. Don't tell me to cut anything out. So I dove into some research. I went straight to the American Diabetes Association website, and their advice was 45 to 60 carbs per meal. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right to me. Not that I was an expert or anything, but I had had gestational diabetes with my pregnancies. And I knew 45 to 60 carbs per meal would just shoot your sugar right up. And I'm like, that makes no sense to me. But who am I to question the ADA?
Right.
So we went ahead and for about a week, we tried their recommendations. We were doing whole foods, low fat. And of course, she was hungry all the time, like you would be. High fiber foods, not a lot of meat. And her numbers stayed the same. They were absolutely like over 200 every single. Now she's checking them in the morning. She wouldn't check it throughout the day. So I started praying about it. And I'm like, all right, Lord, you created my mom. You know what's wrong. You know how to fix this problem. What do I do? Now, I don't know if it was that day or like the next day. We were out and about and we were in a used bookstore. And my husband comes up to me and he's like, what about this? And it was a book titled 60 Ways to Lower Your Blood Sugar by Dennis Pollock. I highly recommend everyone go check out his channel. If you have diabetes, definitely go check out his channel. It's called Beat Diabetes. And the whole thing was, yeah,
So for the comment over here that was talking about diabetes, that's a good channel to go.
Yes. Yep. Because his whole thing is check your sugar. Check your sugar, which seems like a no-brainer. If you want to find out what's raising your sugar, you should check after the meals to see what's going on. So that's what we just started doing. After every meal, we started checking our sugar, and we quickly discovered that carbs were the problem. Absolutely 100% the problem. So we gradually just shifted right into a low carb diet. And now it took about 4 months for me to get on board myself. Now I was making the meals and stuff, but I was like, still, no, I know how to lose weight. I know all that there is that needs to be known about nutrition and stuff like that. So I don't need to do this. I'm not diabetic either. But
what you're telling me is you sent your mom to low carb, low sugar, but held out on your own.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I still wanted all the things.
Yeah.
You know, I still want to have a donut for breakfast if I want to have a donut. So yeah. That was tough on her too, though. And I felt bad because I'd be making cookies and she'd be like, "Oh, those smell so good." I'm like, "Yeah, you can't have any." So it was pretty bad. But in those 4 months, at the end of 4 months, I dropped 10 pounds. And now I was attributing that to calorie counting. Like, oh, I'm still calorie counting, so therefore that's how that works.
Sure.
But it wasn't the calorie counting. It was I was eating some of the low carb meals.
Okay.
And I noticed that I felt pretty good. I didn't have to lay down after dinner anymore. I could actually go and take care of things and I could go exercise. And I'm like, something's different. This
Sure.
is not normal. I've never had this before. So let me just look and see. Now I knew about keto for a while. I knew about it like at least a year before that, but I considered it a fad diet. And honest to goodness, you read the titles in a lot of videos, they treat it like a fad diet. Lose 50 pounds in 3 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a fad diet.
Mm.
But I did a deep dive and I started doing research. I was listening to talks by doctors, by nurses, dietitians, people telling their story. And this was very different because it's like they were always saying, so I had this resolved and this resolved and this resolved. And oh yeah, I lost weight. And I'm like, that's new. All of this is focused on health rather than the weight loss.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let's see what happens. And I did full head on into keto. Just it's from one day to the next. I just got up the next morning. I'm like, I'm having eggs for breakfast. And the rest of the day, I just went keto. And I still remember it was on my niece's birthday and we were going over to her family's house and I made keto shepherd's pie. And it was like, cauliflower mash, ground beef and cheese on top. Everyone loved it. No one knew the difference. And I'm like, okay, this is doable. I think this works.
Yeah.
Within 4 days, I knew I wanted to be on it for the rest of my life.
Oh, wow.
Because what happened was I've been having heart palpitations forever.
Mm.
They thought it was caffeine. It's not the caffeine. I cut caffeine out, didn't do a single thing. But then I was getting them more and more and more. So like the month before I started the diet, man, my heart would feel like it's going to beat right out of my chest. It's not like it would speed up, but it's just the banging. So I'd be trying to go to bed at night and my heart would just be pounding and it'd be, that weird jerky sensation and stuff. And I'd have trouble trying to fall asleep because of that sensation.
Yeah.
So after 4 days though, I'm laying in bed and I'm kind of freaking out a little bit. I'm like, something's weird. Something's different. What's wrong? What's going on? And I realized the heart palpitations had stopped.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I felt so peaceful. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. I'm all in from here on.
Oh,
And I haven't looked back since then. And I think that's one of the keys to me actually being able to stay on it. Well, like Aaron, because Aaron saw the health benefits.
Mhm.
And when you see the health benefits, you're like, I don't want to go back to how I felt before.
Right.
And I mean, the heart palpitations was just one of the things. I started making a list of all of the benefits that I saw. And I mean, I still have it. I mean, it's like indigestion. It took a while for the indigestion, just so people don't get discouraged, because I heard all kinds of stories of people saying, oh yeah, I was off my indigestion medicine like within 2 weeks. Took me a little while, but that went away. I sleep better. I'm not getting up every single night to go to the bathroom like 3 times a night. That was frustrating.
Yeah.
So let me think. The energy is so much better. I have a form of anemia called thalassemia, and it does 2 things. It breaks down the blood cells faster than they can be created, and the cells are shaped weird so they don't carry things like they're supposed to.
Mhm.
So I was always tired. I mean, 10 hours of sleep was never enough. But after this diet, I get 8 hours of sleep and I'm ready to go. I still have an occasional, tired day, but apart from that, that's it. So, I mean, that's my story in a nutshell. I point it all back to God, though, because I know the timeline. It's like he absolutely, if I hadn't gotten that book, you know what I mean? God put that book in my hand to help my mom. And just let me tell her story real quick, too. So her blood sugar, or I mean, her A1C was 7.6 when she started the diet. Within 3 months, it was down to, I think it was 4.6. So she hovers between 4.4 and 4.6 now. So she was taking insulin shots twice a day. She's completely done with that. She was able to dial down the insulin. We didn't wait for the doctor. We just did. I say we, I didn't have anything to do with it. She did it. But the sad thing is no acknowledgement from her doctor about it. You know, the doctor's like, oh, I see you're not taking insulin anymore. Like, yeah, she reversed her diabetes. And the doctor's like, yeah, the diabetes reversed. Okay, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
I know. It's like, what's the next thing? I'm like, don't you want to know? Don't you want to talk about it? This is amazing.
Right,
So
right?
did they think it was the medication that did it, or?
I don't know what she thought because she never addressed it. Now, the nephrologist that we went to, the kidney doctor, she was interested because she sees all kinds of patients that have, you know, this massive kidney disease because of diabetes.
So were
And
you able to give her information and
oh yeah, we did the whole thing with that doctor. That was like what the whole visit was about.
nice.
And she was so excited. She's like, I might put you in touch with some patients. Now, I don't know if legally they're allowed to do that, but I'm like, here's my number. Go ahead and have them call.
To everybody.
Yeah,
Now,
so I want to tell everyone.
there's a comment over here that I want to put up on the screen because I thought it was really interesting about how going carnivore and people can't stay on it, and then making it fun, using creativity for recipes, making it exciting and fun to stick with. And I think that's something that you've done a really good job with, experimenting with different recipes, either figuring out how to take a traditional recipe and make it keto, or just trying new things that a lot of people I think are either scared to do or can't figure out how to translate standard to a keto or carnivore diet. Do you have any tips or wisdom for how to kind of look at recipes differently?
Yeah. So I think, you know, me and I like categories. This is one of those things. It's categories. So
Actually,
one
I'm
of the
for that.
one of the things that I had to learn when starting keto was, okay, you've got the recipes that work absolutely great, right? There's no problem transferring this one from the standard into keto. Then there's ones like pizza. Pizza does not translate good from regular into keto. It just doesn't. I tried like 20 different pizza crust recipes and was absolutely appalled by the results. Those are the things you have to keep in mind and keep looking if you're that determined to, you know, get that. But one of the things that we noticed too was that, so even if it didn't turn out and taste like the old thing, it's its own new good thing.
Yes.
So this wasn't like, you know, I'm trying to think of an example. I think lasagna is a good one. I always love lasagna. And I mean, we tried so many different recipes for lasagna noodles, and some were successful, some were just, But then one day I'm like, forget the noodles. Let's just stir it all together and throw it in the oven. And then it was delicious. And I'm like, why did we need the noodles in the first place? So I think you got to get out of that idea of it has to taste exactly like what I had before.
Right.
And enjoy the new thing.
That exact flavor.
Yep.
And so if you get something similar, something that's almost even reminiscent of it without trying to copy it, I think you're going to be way more successful than I'm not stopping until I get the recipe to taste exactly the same. Like that's probably not likely.
Yeah, I have a pizza recipe now that it was very funny to me. So my sister-in-law's Italian, and they would do pizza night every Friday night, homemade pizza, and it's killer. It's like the best pizza ever. But that was the goal, was to try to get one that tasted like hers. And I never nailed it until recently. And the thing that let me know that I nailed it was my husband was helping himself to some of my keto pizza. Nice. And he's like, I'm standing in front of the fridge and I'm eating the pizza. And I'm like, is this the real thing? Because it tastes like the real thing. And I'm like, Okay, that's good news. I appreciate that.
Yay.
Success.
Yeah, it's always. I feel like when I make recipes that my kids don't complain about, I'm like, all right,
A
let's keep
win.
one in the pile. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely a win.
Now, Aaron, I'm noticing over here. I think you've influenced Ricky Lee with the ground burger and cream cheese.
Oh yeah, I mean, just change it up.
Because I saw a comment on one of the other videos.
Yeah. I haven't had cream cheese in like a month and a half or 2 months. I kind of cut out cheeses because I get joint pain and stuff like that. It's slightly addicting too.
Yes.
So I kind of look at it as like every once in a while, maybe kind of a treat for me these days.
Yeah.
Dairy.
I don't have a problem with cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Have it.
I'm not 100% sure because I had the problem. I started getting still wrist pain and stuff like that. Without eating cheese. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's not the cheese. It's something else. So maybe I can add it back in. But it's I just know that for me, like cheese or dairy is going to be where I'll get most of my carbs.
Right.
If I let them back into my diet.
Right.
I was telling her the other day that I think I have a heavy cream issue. Like it always comes with coffee, so
just a little one.
Yeah, something to watch.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. So I moved out the screen. Do the other people that you're living with, your household is you and your husband and your mom.
Yep. And then we have 3 daughters.
Are they all at home?
They're also living at home.
Okay.
My oldest is 21, and then there's 18 and 16. So, yeah. Currently, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to explain. So my mom is the only one who's full on doing the same diet as I am.
Okay.
Hers is a little bit different. She eats a lot more eggs than I do, but for her and her other health issues, the eggs just seem to work the best for her. They give her the least amount of problems, and also they help her when she's trying to actually lose weight. She'll just go on an egg fast. So my oldest daughter is kind of ketovore. She's doing a challenge. I kind of bribed her a little bit to get her to do the challenge because she has the same issues that I have in that she's got a terrible sweet tooth. And she's been doing it long enough now, though, with me that she's forming new habits that I'm hoping will carry on for the rest of her life because, you know, you get the life issues come up, you start having babies and stuff like that. It is hard to stick to anything. Everything sounds good, you know. My 2 younger daughters and my husband are, you could say, maybe low carb. They are lower than the standard American diet. And I'll make keto treats and keep them in the freezer for my husband and also my oldest daughter because she wasn't willing to give up treats. But I'll keep them in there and it keeps him from bringing home garbage. Because the thing is, it's like, I could say, well, I'm the cook. I'm the one making the food and stuff like that. So I'm not going to make anything that's not keto.
Sure.
But my husband will bring the stuff in the house. So he bought them soda yesterday. So I can't control it all. I do the best I can, and that's I let the rest go. So.
Yeah. Well, and we got another comment. What about carnivore for kids, and what do we recommend? And I think for us, it has been just changing things here and there. We haven't like said, okay, no more carbs or sugar, guys. Right. We're not doing any of it. But we aren't so quick to stock up on cereal for every day of the week. We aren't so quick to say, you know, let's throw tons of brown sugar in the oatmeal or whatever it is, where it's like, okay, what can we tweak? What can we change without trying to change everything at once?
Yeah.
And I found that that's really worked well for us. And our kids still sometimes are like, Mom, really? But it hasn't been like hugely drastic for them. So I think as we're kind of tweaking things over time, they're more likely to go along with it instead of just saying, okay, guys, we're changing things completely.
Yeah. So, I mean, like 4 years ago, it's almost been 4 years. 4 years ago, my kids were having ice cream every night. So that's not a thing anymore. They don't do that anymore. They had candy and soda on a regular basis, even though I knew it was bad, but it was still, I found excuses for them just like I found for myself.
Right.
But there's changes that we made. Like it took me a while, but it's like, if I'm like, well, the kids don't need bread. and my husband's like buying it anyway. So I'm like, okay, well, I will compromise and I'll make my own bread because we have a bread machine. That's the only way I'll do it because yeast hates me.
Sure.
But that's my compromise. So I'll make it myself because I know what's going in it. I also know it's incredibly high in fat, the version of bread that I make. So at least they're getting the good fats instead of the garbage fats that are in the store-bought brand. Yeah. We did the same thing with they love pretzels. And I'm like, I can't believe the garbage that's in pretzels. You'd think it'd be like the simplest thing to make.
Right.
But I found a company that the ingredients are incredibly simple and they use lard. And I'm like, okay, great. Now we have some good pretzels. So it's just the making the little changes. And then some things you have to make yourself. So.
Yep.
What did I say today about ingredients? It seems like the price of things.
Oh yeah, the more ingredients there are, the more things we're adding in, the cheaper it is.
Yes. Yeah. You look at heavy cream that has the extras added in it is always more expensive than just plain straight up heavy cream. Or I mean, it's cheaper. Sorry.
Yeah, backwards day.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So you're saying there's a comment here that the more carnivore the kids eat, the faster they grow, and his wife wants to keep them in the basement on carbon sugars forever. You know, my oldest is 13. I am not ready to talk about her leaving ever. So if I need to feed her carbs and sugar to keep her in the basement,
just to keep her down.
That's an idea.
Yeah. So I'm one of those people. I'm like, I'm not going to force it on my kids.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to make a change and lead by example. Mm-hmm. And so we just started slowly making some changes. Yep. And I'm always like, well, I don't say I'm always, but I do catch myself like rolling my eyes because they'll want stuff. I'm like, like just because I can't help it because, you know, I found healing in my life by eating away. But, you know, just adding, we do a lot more eggs for breakfast now. Yep. We almost exclusively do eggs. And
we go through a lot of eggs at our house.
I just bought another 180 today. But it was like, but we did notice right off the bat, there was a change in our kids when it came to like their spikes, you know, because we homeschool and like you could tell if it's going to good day or bad day and it helped there to be more good days. Yeah. And not for all our kids, but you could see it in certain kids more than other kids.
Yeah.
And I know it's a joke that they're going to grow fast anyway. I'm not ready. All right, Mindy, you are saying that you're thinking about starting carnivore, and can anyone speak to some common mistakes newbie carnivore enthusiasts make or that you made when you first started carnivore? My biggest mistake was I didn't plan ahead. I just magically assumed meat would appear in front of me, and I did not have to think about it or cook it, and I don't like cooking meat. So plan ahead. That is my number one tip. Know what you're going to eat.
Fortunately, I was doing it.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100% because I do food prep, and it's a few times a week actually that I will do food prep, especially if I'm like craving something. It's like, okay, well, let me just make up a big batch of meatballs, and some of them stay in the fridge, and then the rest go in the freezer, and you just take them out as you need them. So having it ready keeps you from making the mistake of I'm starving. What can I eat? You just open the fridge and you just dive in. So the planning ahead is absolutely key to making it successful. I don't know how people can't plan ahead. I don't know how they do it. So,
well, and again, I keep talking about the sous vide machine. Like now that we have that and it does almost all of the work.
Yeah. Yep.
And literally, if he's not cooking for me, all I have to do is sear a piece of meat. I can handle that.
Very easy. Yep.
And you don't overcook it.
And you don't, I cook things to death and then they don't taste good.
Yeah. That's me too.
Yeah.
I mean, my advice to that is like, give yourself enough time for the work.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people just give up way too soon. I would say, you know, give yourself 10 weeks or 90 days, whatever you think, you know, like just it's worth the experiment. And it seems
I was going to say too, I know a lot of people like to have a certain amount of days committed, and that can help. But sometimes when you have a deadline, you tend to think of it as a prison sentence then, that what you're doing is a prison sentence.
Or
and
you do what I did. You're like 90 days. Just kidding. 180 days. Let's go for 2 years.
Yep. You just keep going. Yep. So to me, to have it I mean, if you need to have a number, have it be a soft number. Like, I'm going to try this for 30 days, but at the end of 30 days, I'm not going to go back to what I was doing before.
Okay,
if this doesn't work for me, let me find the next thing then, but don't go back.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. I found after both of my 30 days, I'm like, there are some things I miss and maybe want to bring back. Like the first one, I didn't do any cream. I didn't do any sweet. I didn't do any of it. And so at the end of that, I was very much ready to add cream back into my coffee again.
Yeah.
But like my mom was noticing, I didn't use as much sweetener. I still used a little bit after that for a while, but I didn't use as much. And it wasn't like just this jump back to where I was before. I thought differently about it. So
I feel like you learn a lot too when you do these kinds of challenges, because it's like you learn what you can do without, and then you start to learn too ways around that you weren't thinking about before. It's like, oh, I could really go for this. What can I have instead?
Yes.
And then you start making better choices.
There was a comment the other day that said, anytime I start craving chocolate, I cook up some bacon.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
If that's the replacement you need, then do it.
Yeah.
Some of these comments over here, hydration and electrolytes, burgers and bacon cooked and ready in the fridge. I think pork rinds for me are like the clean ones are really good.
Every day she's got pork rinds on her list.
I like pork rinds.
They're
easy.
They actually will fill up your stomach a lot more than you realize.
Yeah, they do. Yep.
They're way more satiating than you'd expect.
Right.
For a bunch of air.
Let's see. But yeah, more fat, more salt. And then I think just paying attention to your body. I feel like after I was like getting into it, I could tell, I could really use something very salty. I need something that has fat in it. And just knowing my body well enough to say, okay, I'm not really craving sugar. I'm not really craving, the junk. My body doesn't feel satisfied. And where can I go to get that satisfaction that isn't like the temporary high of it and not actually satisfying?
I think too, starting to understand the difference between a craving and a desire is a big deal. Because I used to think, oh, well, I'm craving chocolate. It's like, no, I just want chocolate because I'm thinking about it.
Right.
So a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, my husband does this all the time. I'm craving this thing. I'm like, no, you just want that thing. Yeah. You don't actually, because to me, I think a craving indicates that you do need something.
Yes. It
might not be the thing that you're thinking of, but you might need something to satisfy, that craving, to fix it so that your body's fine. So yeah, I think there's a difference there.
Now, one thing that I know you have done is said, like, so we text a lot. We're text buddies.
Yeah.
But you have said, I think I'm hungry. I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes.
Yes. Yeah.
And so then if you're still hungry at the end of 15 minutes, then okay, fine, have something to eat. And if you're not, because you've moved on to whatever else, then you haven't eaten stuff that your body doesn't actually want or need. Right. And I thought that was really wise too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I've been doing that for even before I started this diet. I had to set timers because my stomach is, even before we started this live stream, I had like a massive lunch and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is going to set me up for the rest of the day. But then just before we got on, I was like, I started having this inkling that I'm hungry and I'm like, I don't know. Let me just wait for a few minutes. And then after like 10 minutes, my stomach's back to being fine again. And I'm like, so that wasn't actual hunger. You have that internal clock telling you, that you might be hungry.
Yeah. Let's see. We got somebody else with my heavy cream addiction. Aaron, can you talk about how dairy and how it made you feel, and abstaining versus moderation?
Yeah, I've seen like a correlation between like when I have cheese for sure, like and then like joint pain and stuff like that. But I'm not 100% sure that is. But when it comes to like heavy cream addictions, yes, that's like that heavy cream is sweet to me now. Yeah, that's like a dessert to me. So I've cut it out and I've added back in. I've cut it out, I've added back in. And sometimes you have to do those things to see how you really think and feel about it. Is it because I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it. But it does add up when it comes to carbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And And for me, I just know I need to be careful. And anytime I feel like something has a hold of me, at this point, I'm kind of like, I always fight back at it as soon as I possibly can. A little, probably too much. I think I'm a little bit too sensitive because I look down on my wife all the time for using sweeteners and all this different stuff because I'm like, because
the truth comes out.
I'm taking it so seriously because I know my personality. I have an addictive personality, and I always have to fight back. I can't let it get a hold of me, and then I swing the other way and get too just OCD and like legalistic about things, and then I damage and abuse myself for no reason. Then I go this way, and then back and forth. And so for me, I'm learning.
Yep.
And as long as I'm learning, I'm okay. As long as I don't give up in any way, then I think I'm succeeding.
Yeah.
When it comes to those things.
I think that's why I really related to you, was because I have a lot of the same issues. The legalistic, the just being way too strict when I didn't need to be, but it's like that. And then there's like the shame cycle too, where it's like, well, I made this thing that I was going to do, and then I failed. It just takes one time, and then you feel so bad about it. And I'm like, I got to stop doing that. I just had that happen to me a couple of weeks ago. I was telling Elizabeth about it, and it was so frustrating to me. I'm like, okay, so yeah, I slipped. That doesn't mean the entire month is ruined.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I'm suddenly off track. I'm not. I've been doing this for almost 4 years now, so it should be fine. So, yeah.
All right, so we are clamoring in the comments to talk about electrolytes. So let's do that. Tell us about electrolytes and why they're important in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't work like that. I gotta take the back. The reality is you got to get yourself some high quality salt.
Yes.
You got to make sure you're eating salt. You got to make sure that that salt is not the boogeyman. Salt your food. If you feel like everything tastes salty, you probably have enough salt. If everything needs more salt, get more salt. And it took me a while to, I think, figure that out. And I had a coach once. He told me, like, I salt all my water before my workouts. I'm like, I started doing that. I was like, why does this give me energy?
Right.
This gives me more energy than drinking coffee.
Right.
And I was like, okay, you got to make sure that you're hydrated. You got to make sure you get electrolytes. It's specifically salt. You can get a lot of potassium and magnesium just from beef.
Yeah, the sodium.
And you won't need as much of the stuff if you're not eating carbs and sugars. Your bodies will operate well.
Yeah, and that being said, a good salt, not like I don't know, your standard iodized shelf. You don't want that. You want a good quality salt.
Once you have good salt, you don't want that other
you
stuff.
Don't go back.
I took salt on vacation, so
that keeps me in my purse.
That salt, iodized salt, even the kosher salt I used to like, that stuff is not the same as like a real salt or a Himalayan salt. It is not the same. It's not even close.
I would say it's one of those things that is worth the investment.
Yes,
I
agree.
Salt. And yes, Mindy, Element we've worked with before. We use their products. We love them. That is always an option to mix those into water or just salt. I mean, either way works. I like the Element because it's flavored and
it tastes good.
Sugar itch, but
that's the one thing that's actually Element's the only thing that I have that ever has sweetener in it.
Yep.
Even stevia. I consume nothing else that has that, and I try to limit it. And Beth can attest to this. Like, I had nothing forever, like 9 months or something like that. I tasted one of the citrus ones. And I was like, this is what lemons tastes like. It was the weirdest thing in the world because I gave it up so much. But then immediately my caution thing goes like, you got to be careful.
It's almost like you have like this, I'm enjoying it. Something must be wrong.
Yeah. Man,
yes. It's too good.
Now that we've diagnosed him. And Ricky, I see your comment there too. Element is not cheap. I mean, it's definitely an investment. And so that is not the only way to get electrolytes. There's salt. I mean, there's a lot of other things.
I would just be careful if you do try to get any kind of electrolyte powders and stuff. Look at the ingredients.
Yeah.
A lot of them are very full of sugar.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. There was another one. No, I'm singing. I'm sorry. Hydration too. Drink lots of water. Yep. Redmond salt is. What was the last? How big was the last container we bought of Redmond salt?
I bought a 25-pound bag. I went hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I drink those usually one a day. When we first got them, I saw AJ said they were nasty at first. And I am with you. The first time I drank one, I was like, I don't know about this. And then I felt like I could tell a difference. I could tell when I needed that electrolytes and the salts. And so
the raw and flavored version is, you got to really adjust it to taste and how much you dilute it. And, and it depends, like if I take something like that with me to work and I'm dripping sweat and it's hot out and I drink it, it's like, oh my goodness. It's like I found like an oasis in the middle of the desert. And then other times I drink it, like, oh, that's salt. That's salty. So you got to trust your tongue.
Yeah, for sure. Somebody asked us way back at the beginning if we raise our own meats. And we do some. We have rabbits and quail eggs that we grow on our property.
Yeah, I don't share that too much because people like rabbits.
These people are nice. They're fine.
They don't mind.
Yeah, but I do.
I mean, they're meat eaters.
We live in the city, so we before I got on this diet, I was into like urban homesteading a little bit. So I raised meat, rabbits, and quail, and I never show them on film.
Nope.
I haven't to this point, but I would love to raise my own animals. I like the control of the food that I'm eating.
Yeah.
You know what's going into them.
Yeah, it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, rabbits. They're very lean.
Sorry, I don't know.
They're not ruminants.
Yeah. So I mean, it gives us other options. And then the quail in particular, I'm very thankful for right now because apparently I can't eat chicken eggs, but I can still eat quail eggs, it seems. Oh, good. We're on board with the rabbit. I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. But I've been thankful to have the quail eggs because I'm not seeing a reaction to those like I was the chicken eggs. So
that's so great.
Even just those kinds of things, like playing with what you're eating and how you react to it, I think has been really valuable.
Yeah, my next rabbit that I'm going to try is, I was thinking about like cooking it in Wagyu fat.
That sounds good.
Yeah, what is that called when you cook it in oil?
Confit.
Like confit.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't really like rabbit too much because it's so lean.
Yeah.
But if it's not lean, every once in a while.
Let's see. Yeah, I find I tend to like rabbit cook like in almost a shredded meat and mix into things because I think it gets really dry really fast.
About like chicken breast?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like a cooked to death chicken breast. I was thinking, I was looking at us on the camera. I think we need, for all the people that worry about you, we're sitting outside right now and it is like a sauna.
It's like 103 degrees in here. Neither
of us are having blood pressure issues. We're just really hot.
I was going to say, I've been sweating here for a little while now too, so it's very warm.
Yes. Somebody's asking about fats. Do you eat the fats on your meat? Do you trim them off? What do you do?
So I go back and forth with that one. If it's chicken breast, we eat a lot of chicken breast because that's what the kids like a lot.
Yeah.
I will trim the fat off of the chicken breast. Because I can't, that squishy texture, I just cannot do it. With steak though, I will cut the fat off and then I will fry it. And that's better than bacon. It's absolutely amazing. I was doing that for a while with pork. So I would make certain meals in the crock pot and I would pick apart the pork and set the fat aside. And I was frying that. Absolutely amazing, but it gave me a stomachache. So that's one, I have that issue with, I have a lot of things that give me a stomachache. So I have to be careful and, whatever. So I can't eat bacon without it giving me stomach problems. I love bacon, just doesn't love me back.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's very sad.
I've had issues with pork fat also. I got to be careful. It doesn't sit well with me. I could eat beef fat all day long.
Yeah, no problems with beef fat.
Gives it to me. It's like if it has gristle at this point, I was like, swallow it like a pill.
I know. He's like, I chew it till I can't, and then I swallow it down. I'm like,
that's what I do too. Because I'm like, there's collagen in that gristle, so I just quick swallow it.
And I'm cheap.
Yeah.
I paid for it. I'm going to eat it.
So both of you have said that you have pork fat issues. Does that go to bacon grease, bacon fat too? Or are you okay with using that, eating it, cooking it?
I can have bacon fat. I'm like, I don't understand why. I'm like that. And I mean, I don't use a boatload of it. So I don't know if it's the meat plus the fat that's the problem. I don't know. But then if that doesn't make any sense because I can have cuts of pork and I'm fine with those. So I make pulled pork, barbecue. I'll make something called menudo and I'm fine with that. But the fat is just, I can't. So yeah, that's also sad because it tastes so good.
Braised pork and stuff like that doesn't sit well with me. Bacon, sometimes it's okay and sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
But anytime if I eat a pork chop and it has fat and stuff like that, and I cook it like as a whole steak, I never had any problem. It's only if it's braised.
Yeah, that's odd
for some reason.
It's very odd. Yeah.
So we're getting questions about the best way to cook a juicy steak if you don't own a grill or barbecue. And this is important because who wants to eat junky meat? What do we got?
I was going to say, ask Aaron because I cook mine to death.
A juicy steak if you don't own a grill or a barbecue. I mean, just get a nice heavy duty cast iron or stainless steel pan if you can. Get some good oil, Wagyu, bacon grease, something like that. Get it hot, but not too hot, and start searing it. And I would, depending on how you like it, just 3 to 5 minutes on each side, depending on the thickness. And I've been actually eating steaks lately that were like almost rare, like raw in the middle. I'm like, this is delicious.
So
some people can't handle it. I'm like, but I'm like, I was like, this is good.
Yeah, so. I think experimenting enough to know what you like is really important, like temperature wise, and then how to get there.
I would do like some kind of like a beef tallow or a bacon. I would finish with butter. I wouldn't cook with butter because it burns.
Because butter's going to burn. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about fish? Do we consider that carnivore?
Yes.
I would. Yeah.
Yeah, and
any kind of fish.
I try to do fish Fridays, which means seafood on Fridays, because I know fish has a lot of omega-3s, which are supposed to be good for you. So I just tried to add it one day.
I had shrimp today.
I had shrimp.
Is amazing.
It's not even Fish Friday.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of shrimp for lunch, and that was it.
Yeah.
So, but I try to add a little bit of that in. But yes, if you like seafood, go for it.
Yeah, I think seafood definitely adds. I think it adds variety, and it also adds some different minerals and stuff, nutrients. I don't know.
That being said, I'm not a big fan of sardines after eating them.
I wondered if that was going to happen.
We'll have a lot at our house.
Yeah.
Yeah, airland and sea is carnivore.
I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it. People are like, ruminant meats and salt and water is like the best because it's the least. It eliminates the most of the stuff out of your diet, and it might not affect you. But there's other carnivores that'll eat anything that has a mother.
Yeah,
and I go back and forth and try to just really pay attention to how it makes me feel.
Yeah,
and if it's okay, if I feel like out of control, like I want it constantly now, but I gravitate back towards steak most of the time.
Yes.
That's how I feel it is with me. I feel the best when I'm eating mostly beef. Yep. Now I will throw in like chicken or pork just for the variety because it's not exactly like I get tired of beef, but just to have something else in there because I don't want to get tired of beef. I enjoy it. I like eating it, so.
We got a question about cholesterol and eggs, and I'm just going to say we're not even getting into that. We have a bunch of videos that Aaron's put out about cholesterol. Ken Berry has a really, really good one. I would recommend going and checking it out.
Yeah, go see Ken Berry.
It is I feel like an in-depth conversation that you really need to spend some time on. Not don't ask about cholesterol, but with the 5-10 minutes we have left, it's probably not the best place.
I got a lot of thoughts on it.
Yes.
Me too.
And it is definitely one of those top of mind things when it comes to carnivore, because I think it's a big deal, and it's one of those things that doctors it's
Drop
still a
the ball.
scare tactic.
Yeah.
So yes, there are a bunch of videos out there. Check them out. Do a search on carnivore and cholesterol and look for Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Sean Baker. Again, Aaron has a bunch, but it's too big of a topic to try and get into.
Well, I've wrestled through all my stuff on the carnivore diet. So like most people, if they do have cholesterol problems on the carnivore diet, won't be as bad as mine. I mean,
you're special.
As bad as we're as bad. And so I've had to learn a lot.
One thing that Mindy asked us up here, let me see if I can find it.
Did you star it?
I don't know if I started. I should have. Where'd it go? It's way up here. This one. I just thought this was a really interesting question. Do you think it's okay for me to pray and ask God to help me be successful on carnivore? And I think all three of us would say absolutely. Like, yes, involve your faith, like, for sure.
I would also throw in the caveat to, pray that God will help you to be open to any guidance that you need about it, because 100% carnivore might not be the answer for you. It might be that you have to have a couple other things in there, but in order to know that, you got to be open to listening to him, to telling you what you need to change or what you need to add or take away. So, I mean, that's what I discuss. I say that I could do 100% carnivore, but I feel good doing it the way I'm doing it.
Yep.
And I do pray on a regular basis. Oh Lord, if I'm supposed to omit something else, please let me know.
Yes.
Because I don't want to keep anything. I did recently actually just finally give up on sugar 100%, but almost 4 years in, and I finally gave it up. I was too sad to do it until recently. And it was that kind of thing where it's like, why am I still hanging on to this when it literally is poison to me and I can feel it, it's poison to me. So it took me this long to say, all right, I'm tired of feeling this way. So, yeah.
Yeah, I heard recently that during the time of Abraham Lincoln, the average person ate about 1 pound of sugar per year, and now it's up to about 250 pounds of sugar per year on the average person.
It's pretty bad.
So sugar is not good for you, but a lot of sugar is really not good for you. Like a little bit of sugar is not going to. We have no idea what moderation is when it comes to sugar.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I think too, I mean, it's so readily available. It is so, like, it's in everything.
And carbohydrates are sugars.
Like, it's hard to get away from.
Yes.
But I think it's interesting too. We've talked about like knowing why you're on this diet. So for Aaron, having to eliminate almost everything as a healing journey.
Yeah.
To figure out what causes issues, what doesn't cause issues, to get his A1C under control, all of that. Whereas for me, it was more weight loss and getting control of my eating habits and stuff like that. Like, I don't have the crazy reactions that he has.
But you're still young and full of hope.
But I'm still young and full of hope. So it's interesting. I think looking at why we are choosing to eat differently than standard is really important. And then what fits within what we can handle, what our bodies tolerate, all that.
Yep. I agree.
1 gram of sugar is plenty.
Yes.
I say 0 sugar if you can help it.
Your body will make it anyway. So that's why I'm agreeing. Yeah. 1 gram, your body will make that 1 gram, and that's all you need.
Yeah. Well, I did learn that if you eat liver, there's carbs in liver, because there's all the glycogen in liver. So that's 1 pill. If you want sugar, eat a liver.
I don't think anybody will want sugar for that. Maybe some people like liver.
Yeah.
In moderation.
Yep. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check out this Lily Kane.
I've watched Lily Kane stuff.
She's fun.
We're talking about eating bacon and pray before looking at a thumbnail. We're gonna have to. I'm just curious. Did any of you hit stalls? Sorry, I got distracted. Did any of you hit stalls with weight loss, and how long did it take you to lose what you wanted to lose?
So I could say for myself, I did hit a stall, but because I wasn't in it for the weight loss to start, it didn't really matter. There wasn't tweaking, trying to figure out what's going to get the scale moving again.
Sure.
Now, because I feel like I've hit my, I hate to say goal weight because I didn't have this goal in mind. I thought I would stop at 140, and because I mean, that was the lowest I ever was as an adult. I thought that would be plenty, but then the weight just kept dropping off. So I hover around 125 now.
Okay.
If my weight starts to go up, I will try to think, is it going up because of hormones, or is it going up because I've let something else creep in? So for that, I just had to tweak, doing it. But it took me 3 years to lose about 45 pounds.
Okay.
Actually, like the last 5 pounds came off back in April when I had the stomach flu, and lost like 8 pounds like that. So that's not a good way to do it.
Yeah, not the right way.
That wasn't a good way to do it.
Yeah.
But
I would say I lost, I think, about 30 to 40 pounds within the first year and have pretty much stayed right at that level. And that's doing keto, not carnivore.
Yeah.
And then with some not strict keto in there as well. But my body's kind of maintained that same level since then.
Yeah, I lost about 50 pounds, and by the standards that you see at the doctor's office, I'm technically still obese. And
yeah, you totally look it too.
And I could let that get to me
Yeah.
if I let it. I'm trying not to, and I could probably lose some more weight because I still got some fat and some loose skin and stuff like that. There's still stuff I have to work on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently right now not worrying about it, and gonna go this other year. Go another year on this diet and just see where I'm at in a year instead of just beating my body too much.
Well, here's the thing too that you have to keep in mind. Like I still have fat on my body, but how do I target that fat to lose that fat?
To lose all of it.
It's liposuction.
Yeah, when I lost the 8 pounds when I had the stomach flu, it didn't go from anywhere on my body except my face.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, I look like a walking skeleton, and my mom was like, she was worried about me. She was like, you need to. I did actually eat carbs during that time just to stop the weight loss. I had some oranges. So
okay.
Yeah.
And then they're asking about spices. I mean,
I do spices. I do pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
If I can tolerate them, I do them.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things too. Starting with we're not doing anything except salt, and then seeing what you can add back in.
Yeah.
But yeah, we use spices.
I would say if you need spices to get you through, try to do low carb spices. If you don't know what a low carb spice is, use the Mr. Google machine.
Yep.
And just see how many carbs are in it. If and those types of things. I stopped. I ate pepper after a while. I tried pepper. I was like, whoa, I don't really like pepper. Wow, I thought I used to love it. It's too spicy for me. That's weird. And but I'm I use salt. I'll use curry powder. I'll use some garlic powder.
Yeah, just check the labels.
Yeah.
And not every time, just every once in a while. I just don't add it all the time. So, but I've done none, and I've done some, and I'm okay with it a little bit here and there.
Yeah. Well, we are quickly running out of time, so I wanted to pop this comment up here. Thank you all for the inspiration. I'm 42 days in and 12 pounds down. Finally,
Yay!
Today.
Well done.
Wonderful benefits so far, and I feel like this is kind of what's exciting about the channel and about having these conversations is hearing these stories of people that have said, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to take charge of my health. And then hearing the success that's come out of them. That's really exciting for me. So
I love that.
Yeah, I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. I always say it's a journey. It's a journey. And so don't let anyone tell you what you have to do.
Right.
Right.
You have to tweak it according to what works for you.
Yeah. And I mean, really, don't even let us tell you what you have to do.
Right.
Like, go look into the information, research everything that's out there to the level that you want to, and then make good health choices.
But there's a big community out here now, and it's growing when it comes to carnivore diets, keto diets have been around. Keto's been around longer, but it's like, there's a lot of information out there, and it is causing people to heal their bodies and get motivated, and in a simple way, and without being hungry all the time.
Yeah.
And starving to death, which I think is great. And I'm still like surprised that I'm actually have done this well on this.
Yeah.
I am too. I never stuck to anything this long. It's insane.
Yeah. And so they're asking, where can we find you? We are at the Kilby Life on YouTube. We are at thekilbylife.com.
Well, they're on our channel.
I
right
know,
now.
but
They know
it
to find
says,
us.
where can we find you?
Oh.
Nellie's channel is Nellie Needs Meat, and we will put a link for that somewhere. Can we do that after the fact?
I think so.
We'll put it somewhere so that way people can view. I'm sure you can search for it and find it. But again, lots of great meal inspiration. Just kind of sharing your thoughts and journey, which I have really appreciated. So definitely go give her a check and a subscribe.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Nellie likes to talk about food and a lot.
Yeah, I do.
A lot of wisdom. So she's been following us since the very beginning and has been like just great. Like just I've watched so many stuff, listened to her. I don't want to call them rants, but the way
they are a bit like a rant.
Well, it's just you're taking it seriously and you're putting a lot of time and thought into it. And I think that serves people. It has served me, and I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
And
I appreciate that.
And you've been a great friend to me and my wife. It's like you guys are, and I get all the notifications when you guys are on Instagram. I don't ever look at them.
She just sends me reels on Instagram.
Like, okay, all right.
Yep.
Sorry.
Barbecue plans coming soon. I don't know. I don't know. That would be so fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Can we throw this?
We can throw whatever you want up here.
I just want to throw this up here. Bam.
I got to get rid of my comment.
Okay. I don't even know how to use this machine.
Boom. Yep. So are you going to talk about this?
Yeah. So we're hoping to go live every other Wednesday. And so if anyone else wants to get on here and hop on and talk about family, food, faith, I just came up with that.
Yay.
Very nice.
That kind of stuff. Those are all things that really interest us. And we just decided that it was something we wanted to do to try to just talk about like food together. And we've been putting it off for a long time. So
I love hearing other people's stories too. I mean, because everyone's coming at it from a slightly different perspective, and it's so great hearing their success.
Yeah.
And I've been doing some coaching, and there's people I talk to on my phone all the time that are sending me messages, and like people's lives are changing. And I'm sending people messages like, and I even saw something about this, like getting new pants. I'm like, y'all better start saving some money. Your pants are going to start falling off.
Yep.
Yeah, you better start saving some money.
Good times.
Yay.
Awesome.
Well, very good. Well, thank you for being here again with us today. And
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Send her a message on Instagram.
Send her 5.
Okay.
It's fun. It's all good.
Yep.
All right. We will see you guys later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys in 2 weeks.